welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on NewsX. You're watching this special BRICS We Dialogues, and our first episode is on the very important topic of gender equality. Are we there yet? Yes, that's a question we're going to examine over the course of the next half an hour with a power-packed panel. Joining us is some very leading women from all over the world. In fact, women who've achieved a lot in their varied fields. And we're going to be having, of course, a very important topical conversation, as I said, on gender equality with them. Joining us today for this special show is Shabana Naseem. She's president of BRICS CCI Week. We also have Rita Sinha, who's an IAS officer, retired IAS officer, joining us live. Vali Arunachalam, Karta of the MV Murugappan HUF Group, is also with us live. Maria Vechkanova, director of the BGG Group, is joining us all the way from Russia. Mohina Kumari Singh is a very well-known actor. She's also live with us on the broadcast. And Shormishta Ghosh, Director Business Advisory with BRICS CCI, is also with us live. She's, of course, going to be helping us steer the audience connect section later on the show. Welcome, all of you, and thank you so much for joining us firstly today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, let me begin actually by introducing BRICS CCI for our viewers, since this is, of course, the first episode. So BRICS CCI actually is a special body that, of course, was founded in 2012. It's also empaneled with the Niti Aayog and recognized by the United Nations. The objective of this body is to provide a dynamic institutional connection for the promotion of trade and industry, as well as strengthen social ties and cultural ties between members of the BRICS. We also, of course, are today in partnership with BRICS CCI. This is the women's vertical of BRICS CCI that is dedicated to women entrepreneurship and enterprise. The objective of the women's wing actually is to create an enabling support system for women entrepreneurs and professionals across geographies of the world. And the topic, of course, we've picked today is gender equality. Now, gender equality, of course, is very topical because today, actually, the day of our discussion is World Gender Equality Day. Yes, it's very important to have this conversation even in the 21st century world, because women still are not equals in varied fields. Yes, they are breaking the glass ceiling, but there's still much more to be achieved. In fact, it certainly still remains not very easy to be a woman. If we talk about India, India ranks 112th out of 153 countries in the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Index 2020 and 149th in economic participation and opportunity. Some of the major issues faced and challenges by women all over the world are child protection, education, nutrition, health, policy. These are all challenges, of course, faced by women, but how much progress has been made and how much more is still to be made is something we're going to, of course, talk about. So let's dive straight into the conversation. Shabana ji, let me begin with you first. In 21st century India, in 2020 on World Gender Equality Day, why is it still so topical and important to have this conversation on gender equality?
Yeah, hi, Uday. So on this day, 26th of August, when the 19th Amendment was actually adopted by the US Constitution, and the women were actually given the right to vote, it's very important that we have the discussion. You know, we always have been fighting for women equality, challenges around us, but actually speaking, where have we arrived is a discussion which we actually would want to deliberate upon. You know, today, when if you compare from the time that we actually got our independence, the enrollment of women in higher education has improved substantially. So women are actually getting more educated. You have almost 38% of women who are getting enrolled for higher education. But unfortunately, they're not getting employed. They're not working. The labor force engagement is very minimal. In fact, India is one of the most least, we have the least women working amongst the emerging economies. Now, the reason are one is a social and the other is economic. Largely, it's the mindset that we are actually fighting with. That if you have a good household, if you're economically well off, you don't need to work. That is A. B, the thing is that if you are loading your women with all your household chores and with all your house jobs, you cannot expect them to do justice at the workplace. So we have to actually train our men. More than women, I would say we have to train our men, our boys, our sons to respect the gender equality, to respect the differences within the gender, and yet, work towards gender parity. To actually participate in the household jobs, to actually, when you get married, you also have to bring up children. You have to give a comfortable home to your child. How else do you do it? If your spouse is not partnering, if you do not give a comfortable home to your child, the mother is always feeling guilty. So in order to make the women more participative, in order to make the women work, you have to give them an environment, an enabling ecosystem, which will only happen when the mindset changes.
What you're saying. Rita Sinha, come in here on your take on, of course, gender equality in 21st century India.
Yeah, India has a very peculiar situation. We have been granted equality under the Constitution. Lots of laws have come which give equality or do away with the weaknesses there in granting it. But it's a strange thing that the way our common law has evolved and the way our customary operates, you'll be surprised to know that when the British set the judicial system and had 3 high courts, Calcutta, Bombay, Madras, they said, actually the credit goes to Warren Hastings, 1780, but this history goes back to 1781. And he said that the court would operate according to Hindu law and Muslim law. Now, and they used to quote the original scripts of the two religions, deciding certain issues like marriage and personal laws. What were the personal laws? Which is what affect women the most. But then later on, when the common law developed, that is the cases started determining the law, So they did away with these native law officers. Slowly, whatever decisions were taken, they stopped referring to the old texts and the decision started deciding. And the Supreme Court has said in 1980 in a case that in India, Hindu law, I won't talk about Hindu law, the others too well. The Hindu law is decided by cases and not by the religious texts. Yes. Now, what is very interesting about Hindu law is that far back at the end of the 11th century, Vignaneshwar interpreted the Smriti to say that Istri Dhan includes inheritance. But the customary law did not allow it. And the Supreme Court, even when it was drafted, the Constitution was being drafted, it was very clearly stated by the Supreme Court that fundamental rights, what we get as women, they do not touch upon the personal laws.
Okay.
So in India, the customary laws,
even the way the Constitution was written, even the way there has been inequality. In fact, just recently, the Supreme Court also ruled on this.
Yes.
Things are changing, but there's a lot to be done. In fact, just recently, the Supreme Court had ruled this, and
actually, this is
allowed for succession of property and other ancestral rights to women, equally to men as well. I'll come back to you, ma'am. Let me bring in Ms. Arunachalam as well. Ms. Arunachalam, your take on, of course, the challenges that women still face in this 21st century India and, of course, the global world.
Thank you for this opportunity. I look at it as the challenges fall in broadly into 2 buckets: the cultural challenge and then the economic challenge. And the enormity of these challenges, they vary from country to country. In the developed and underdeveloped nations, the challenges are enormous. And in developing countries, the challenges exist, but to a lesser extent. So let me touch on the cultural challenges. If we look at the root cause, it comes from deeply entrenched beliefs and societal norms, patriarchal systems, the perception of women, and these are not in tune with the current times. They may have made sense centuries ago, but we are evolving, and we need to change with the times. And these have far-reaching implications on every sphere, be it education, opportunity, entrepreneurship, safety, succession. They have far-reaching implications. And, there have been positive developments. For example, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, Save Daughter, Educate Daughter campaign by the Indian government. It captures the essence of what we need to live up to. And that is what we really have to enable in terms of gender equality. And pardon the pun, we need to do it brick by brick. And as far as the economic challenges go, they stem from lack of resources, money. For example,
economic challenges and your personal story in just a second as well in our second round of comments. But Mohina, let me draw you in here first. Progress is being made. Certainly, work for the better is being done. But still, in 21st century India, why do we still need to talk about equality for women? Shouldn't that just be a given?
So I'll talk about my personal experience. So from the family that I come from, you are Rajputs, and you will understand this very well. Somehow I always feel that boys are always given more preference in Rajput families, and girls definitely have to get married ultimately, right? But I don't think I ever felt that way. So what I'm trying to say, it always starts from home. The seed is sown at home. What your parents teach you, what your parents do, what you learn from them, that you will go out and do in the society. So when my brother was shooting a rifle, trying to practice, he would make me practice as well. And if I was doing better than him, he would be proud. He would give me a pat on my back. He would tell all the Rajput boys around him. I never felt that gender inequality there. My father, my mother, even though I came from a royal family, they were like, go out there, live your dreams, do whatever you have to do. But just don't forget your family values. I think what is most important is we teach gender disparity at home instead of teaching good family values or good values that work out in the society and do something for the betterment of people. Service is extremely important, but we lose our way and we go into this boy, girl, man, woman, and then it goes on further. But I never felt that at home. However, when I went to work, so I was a choreographer first. I never felt any gender disparity in the choreography world at all. Never ever. Because men, women were both big choreographer, small choreographer, assistant, this, that. Never. In the acting world is where I felt. That was the first time I felt a gender inequality. I felt gender inequality. Why? Because I felt that both were suffering because of this gender inequality. Men and women both. It is not that only women are suffering. It is men also suffering because of this gender inequality. When you talk about gender inequality, if there is a disbalance, it is going to affect both.
Okay.
It's going to affect society in general. And that is what I felt when I entered the big bad world. I feel like men have to really dominate women. I feel like men have to have the first say, the last say, whatever it is, and the girl has to be sweet, has to be smiley, has to be accepting, has to be giving, forgiving, everything. And the men, on the other hand, I feel become ferocious, to make sure that happens.
Okay.
So I don't think the man is happy being ferocious and being disliked himself, nor is the woman happy being suppressed.
Right.
I think it's a lose-lose situation. That is what the world needs to understand.
The impact of gender inequality is actually being faced by both sexes, not just
by both.
Okay.
Like But when I got married, recently, I was told a lot of things, and you will not be able to do this, whatever. It was my choice. I decided to get married. I got married to somebody who's supporting me in each and everything, even setting up this live Zoom thing for me. He helped me out with it. Why would I be with somebody who thinks that I am lesser than him, or why would I think lesser of anybody else? I think the society
Home needs to
change from home.
Change, and that's how, okay, the society will change. Fair enough. Maria, let me get you in here. Now, we've of course been having this conversation so far from an India perspective. I want you to bring in a global perspective as well. Are these debates happening in Russia as well on women inequality and around the world? And if they aren't, then why aren't they?
I would say that in Russia, we don't have so significant difference regarding gender difference. Men and women hold the same positions and successfully can open and develop business and work in government structures. So it's not so really some difficulty or challenges. But what I see on the problems related to this point, that employment, like when you're a young woman, when you're trying to get a job, the employers are afraid of hiring you because you will go on maternity leave. When you have kids, you have the second problem. They're afraid that your kids will get sick and you will stay home. So it's easy for men in this aspect. But as for me, I would say it's sure, it's not easy to combine the family and business when you are a woman, but it's possible. You just have to have the good time management for yourself.
Okay. Personally, how have you done that? Have you achieved this art of perfect time management yourself? Personally, have you faced any discrimination while you've been charting your own path in your company?
Yeah, for me, I don't have negative experience regarding the gender point. So I have 3 kids. I'm waiting the 4th one, and I have the business from the second side. So, and I'm trying to just manage my life, and I don't see. Honestly, I would say I have some help from my partners when they see that I'm woman. So it's kind of, for Russia, we don't have this domination of men. No.
Okay. Ms. Arunachalam, I want to rope you in here. You were speaking about the economic impact of women inequality. What about your personal story? You've obviously faced, the brunt of inequality, haven't you, personally?
Yes, personally, if I'm when I was working on my doctoral degree in nuclear engineering in the US, I was the only female in a class of 20. And the challenges I faced were more, I think, in terms of work-life balance than in terms of gender equality. But of course, the setting here is the US. And in addition to being the only female, I was the only one with a child. So, so in order to just survive and keep up with the academics in the limited time that I had available, I had to learn to improvise. I learned to be extremely efficient, think outside the box, and stay calm. It was not easy, believe me. I learned it the hard way, but I survived graduate school, and that experience has served me well through my 25-year career in science and technology. And then coming to the career path.
Yes, professionally, yeah. because obviously you were a woman. Did you feel that it was tougher for you to take over the family business, the empire that you belonged to?
Ironically, the toughest challenge I have faced to date in terms of gender equality is within my family. Seeking a family settlement as my father had wished for us, or getting a board seat on my family's holding company. That has been the toughest challenge so far in terms of gender equality.
Yeah. Okay. Moina, for you, you spoke, of course, about facing inequality for the first time once you entered acting, not so much in choreography or not so much from being from a royal family. But do you believe also, being a royal woman, there were those who questioned your career choices, being from a traditional royal Rajput family to get into movies, to get into acting. Did you face those roadblocks and people who questioned you along the way, and people who may have told your father and mother, what are you doing? Why are you allowing her to do this?
Yes, definitely. At every step, I felt it. I felt so much support from my family. But as soon as I would step out into, into a public scene, I knew what people were talking about, and I would hear a few murmurs as well. So it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me in the sense it didn't upset me. It angered me. It really got me very angry that why would they do that? I'm doing well for myself. My parents are proud of me. I have people who, in fact, there were girls in Riva who were calling me their inspiration, and I never expected that. I mean, while I was just a princess, I was not really an inspiration. But when I went out there and did something, there were girls. Riva is a small town. So there's Pratibha Singh Bhagel. She went out from Riva. She's become a singer. She's in Bollywood. Then I went out, and then I think Avni Chaturvedi is the first pilot, if I'm not wrong. She has gone out from Riva. So now there are so many girls going out from Riva, and they're saying that there's so many inspirational women coming out from Riva. So I don't understand what these murmurs are all about. I don't know why women are pulling women down. Maybe because
they're your journey worth it. Fair enough. Rita Sinha, to you, as a bureaucrat, did you face hurdles along the way? Did you find it tougher than your male colleagues and counterparts, or not really?
No, actually, I think the government is a very good employer in that sense. The rules are very clear. There is a hierarchy. You don't have a problem. Subordinates do listen. But then bureaucrats also come from society. So they come with all their biases and, attitudes towards women. Those can I just tell you one incident which will illustrate?
Yes.
I was city magistrate in Dehradun at the start of my career, and there were 3 left to go when I was going to marry a batchmate of. He had come to Dehradun for the wedding, and there was a sal forest very close to my house. So in the evening, I said, "Let's go for a walk," and we went there, and we got surrounded by hundas with knives and things like that. Or any other couple, had come there to romance or something like that. So then finally, somehow, they were taking me actually into one hut. They were trying to take me into a hut. Mm-hmm. So I told them, I said, don't even try it because I'm the magistrate. So when they saw my confidence, they got a little shaky and all that. Luckily, a guy was passing by and he rang the bell of the vehicle. So that kind of, took there, and I just ran from there.
Yeah.
And we got out of the situation. So the next day I came him and I told the SSP that we should take action and to go there and catch those guys because I believe they've been doing this to a lot of people. But what shocked me was, instead of supporting me and feeling concerned, the city magistrate got caught by these guys and somehow she escaped. Yeah. They all told me, "Lड़की है और ऐसे FIR किया, if we file this FIR, you will get very badnaam." I told him, I said, "What is this?" So the SP just said, "Just ignore it." I came into the law is there. The constitution is on your side. The law is there. You are in an authoritative position to do something. But the mental thing of the girl will get notorious and, all kind of things. They did nothing. Just let the humans be, attack the next couple.
Yeah, and that's the reason why so many times girls do not, go out and follow up on cases and not FIR, etc. But hopefully that needs to change. Shabana ji, how has BRICS been attempting to change the situation in India? It's great. There's a women president in you, of course, of this chapter. But how have you been attempting to change it through BRICS?
So Uday, you were seeing me. I belong to Orthodox Muslim family from Bihar. So which in itself speaks a lot about BRICS, CCI and we. See, coming from a background that I have, we were actually, my father was a civil servant. And coming from that background, when I ventured into entrepreneurship, when I actually paved my way, as Mohina was saying, that, it is not just that it's not just what we women are the ones who are subjected to this gender bias. Even men, I felt in my professional journey, were also being subjected to similar biases. So having seen that, of course, the issues that we were facing were a bit different to what the men were facing.
Right.
But men, of course, would also not want to be in that stereotype. Similarly, the way we have to break the stereotype, the men too have to break the stereotype. Like our society has put the women in a mold, similarly, they have put men in a mold.
Yeah.
So the stereotype has to be broken by both the genders.
So the onus is on both. Okay. Now, we're running out of time. I think we need to get a quick audience question in. So, Shormishta, over to you.
There's something I'd like to share also.
Yes. Sure, Shormishta, go ahead and then I'll go back to Moina after you. Yeah.
Okay. So we are getting a few questions that are.
We just have time for, I think, one. Go ahead.
Okay, then the first that is coming on top of this is something we're already discussing actually. What is the need of having a separate, entities given to women? If you're talking about women equality, is this not contradicting the basic premise? This is coming from Rohan, from Gurgaon. Anyone can take this. It's an interesting question. A guy is asking.
Yeah, I will take this question, Sharmishta, that, today in this day where we are suffering with this pandemic COVID-19, we need to address this women parity, women gender equality more aggressively. Because as we're seeing, study from home is the new normal. And things are getting more online, studying is happening online, work is moving more online. So women, particularly rural women, are going to suffer.
Okay.
So there's rural women who are not, they do not have access to technology or internet. We need to ensure that actually they have, access to technologies.
Digitalization of things post-COVID. Yes, fair point. Okay, Moina, quick word. You wanted to come in, and then yes, go ahead, Moina.
No, so like Rita ji was telling about her experience. I'd like to share one more experience which I had, which really, so I had made a channel, a YouTube channel at one point of time, and we were 3 friends, 2 boys and 1 girl, 1 me.
Yeah.
And so what had happened is, I kept asking throughout to let's get this on paper, let's make this legal. So I kept asking one of the boys who was handling this very well. So I kept telling him, let's make this legal. Let's draw a contract. Let's make an account or whatever it is. But I was very nicely just told to shut up because ये तो लड़की है, बहुत चिक-चिक करती रहती है. And so, so the second guy.
So that's another example. Now we're completely out of time, so I'm going to have to leave it at that. But these are conversations that I think, need to keep having. And I think the last half just showed that everyone has their own experiences in different fields, and we all need to come together. The onus is on everyone to change the situation regarding gender inequality, not just in the country, but the entire world. My thanks to all of you for joining us on this special episode.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.